So welcome to this video with me, and I wanted to make this video because I wanted to put into a very simple and concise and straightforward way the real basics of the teaching. So in video number 1, which is called the basic principles of the teaching, I talked about sort of the basic or foundational principles of not only the teaching, but of the awakened view itself. And so in this video, I really want to talk about the application of those teachings, because really the application of any spiritual teaching is the most important part of the teaching. In other words, the application answers the question of what's the doing of the teaching? What can I do to help myself to awaken from the egoic state of consciousness to the awakened state of consciousness, the spirit, the consciousness of awakened spirit. And so in this video, I want to talk about, in the most basic way I can, really about three applications of these teachings. And the first application is very, very simple, but it's actually very profound and important to get a feel of, and most importantly, to apply. And the first one is to be still. Now, what does it mean to be still? This sort of teaching, this simple spiritual teaching of be still, has been around for a very long time. And people have understood this teaching in different ways. But in terms of the way I teach, I have a very specific way of describing what be still really means. And what be still really means is to allow everything to be as it is. That's what the application of being still means. Usually when people try to be still, say you try to meditate, and you're trying to become still, you're trying to still your mind, you're trying to find a place of stillness or peace or serenity, and people generally do that through some sort of discipline, some form of inner control. I call it manipulation. And I call it manipulation, which is sort of a strong word, but I call it manipulation because that's really what it is. And so, in order to be still, to find a true stillness, an authentic stillness, the true stillness, the authentic stillness, is not something that's contrived. It's not something that is found and maintained by any form of control or manipulation. True stillness is your natural state. True stillness isn't something that needs to be created by you. True stillness is more something you notice, that there is a pre-existing stillness. In other words, it's still already. Your true nature is already perfectly still, perfectly at ease. You may not be aware of it. When our minds are caught within themselves, when we're identified with being an ego, then we think stillness is something I have to attain. Stillness is something I have to make happen. But as I said in the first video about the basic principles of the teaching, is that really you and I, we are not egos. Ego is just something that's created in the mind. It's a pattern of thinking. And when we begin to open to the possibility of seeing that we aren't the ego, that the ego or the mind is something that happens within you, then there becomes space. The ego is basically repetitive patterns of thinking. So in that sense, it's noise. It's just internal mental noise. But this noise arises within stillness. Stillness is a quality of your essential nature. Your essential nature is spirit. Spirit is ineffable. Spirit is something without form or shape or color, but nonetheless exists, and exists in a vibrant and very alive way. So your true nature is really, actually spirit. My true nature is spirit. Everybody's true nature is essentially spirit. And spirit is already still. Now, one of the qualities of spirit is allowing everything to be as it is. That's what conscious spirit is doing. Or I should say, that's one of the things it's doing. But that's not really much of a doing at all. To allow everything to be as it is doesn't require you to do anything. What it does require is that you stop doing. Let go of the incessant and compulsive need to do. Because all of the doing is nothing more than a way of not allowing everything to be as it is. And as long as we're not allowing everything to be as it is, it's very, very difficult to awaken from the egoic state of consciousness. So this very fundamental teaching of allow everything to be as it is extraordinarily important. And for a lot of people, it's quite challenging to really allow everything to be as it is. Because the ego is afraid of this. The ego thinks if it allows everything to be as it is, either something terrible is going to happen, or nothing's going to happen at all. But neither of these things ends up actually being the truth. When you allow everything to be, something extraordinary begins to occur. So as you're listening to me and watching me right now, if in the act of listening and watching me, if you were just to allow everything to be, in other words, for the moment, don't analyze it, don't put what I'm saying into your conditioned mind, compare it with other things you've heard or read, just allow it to be heard. Later, if you want, you can accept it or reject it on your own terms. But so even as we are here together, is it possible for you to allow this moment to completely be as it is? And what happens when you allow everything to be as it is? Really, to allow things to be as they are, it's not something you try to do. As I said, to try to allow everything to be is counterproductive. You can't actually accomplish this by trying. It's more a state of relaxing, letting be, letting go.